Um, what I have done is I have gone through all the photos that we currently have um, for baseball, and what I did was I actually put the favorite on them, so that way I could just go to the favorites folder over here. And then what I did was, and this is very very important, is that you want to take them and then you want to drag them to a folder. Here's why. So let's say, okay, so right here. So right now you can see that this image is 4.5 megabytes, which is still kind of small for a photo, for like a decent sized photo, yearbook stuff, okay? So this is me taking it from here and put it into this folder. If I were just to go to Pictavo and go like this and drag it over from Pictavo, it's gonna make like a thumbnail version of it or a smaller version of it, and it's not gonna be as good of a quality, and it's gonna flag you in Pictavo for not having a good enough photo in that spot, and then you gotta either go, okay, well it's gonna be blurry, so I guess we'll deal with it, or find a better photo. Okay. So really quickly here, I just want to kind of show you. So I had a total of about 3,800 photos for just baseball. That was just baseball, and that was only the 6 games that I went to and I took photos at. Um, that doesn't include any home games that we would have had. It doesn't include anything else like that. So um, just in those 6 ones, I took about 3,800 photos. As you can see here in my favorites, I have 34. So not even 1% of the photos that I took are ones that I would use for the yearbook. Now, these are all like, I would say like the best quality ones, but I'm going to show you here in just a second. There's a couple photos that I have to use because they're the only ones that I got. Okay. So as you can see here, I went through and I did and I did the number of the photo and I put it in here. I usually do this on paper. I just wanted to show you on the computer. This one is just because it doesn't keep the zero on there, obviously. So those are 0 ones, okay? So I didn't have any photos of Riley or Ashton that would have been good. And I don't really have any of Gavin or Tyrus either, or of Chaz. And that's okay because they really only played JV. And I didn't take a whole lot of JV photos because most of the kids were on varsity. When you're taking photos, you need to do JV ones as well, okay? So as you can see here, I have them all in this order. Now, one of the things that I also did was I went to Varsity Bound. This is, if you know anything about quick stats, this is very similar to quick stats. And this is going to be very, very important for later on as well when you are writing captions, because I use this for when we do that. Okay, so I came down here to pitching and I saw that there was 6 people, and I'm looking at my pitching and I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm missing one. And the one, who am I missing? I'm missing Gabe, I think. I know I have some photos there, so then I need to go back through and find those photos. But Aaron's the other one as well, because if you can see here, this is really the best photo of Aaron pitching that I have. But as you can see, it's kind of dark, and so that's one that we got to fix. But I just want to tell you, just because it's dark, it might be a good photo, but you're like, oh, it's dark, I can't use it. Um, One of the things I'll show you here is that you can edit this and it can look halfway decent still. This is also a good reason why you want to create large files, because they're more adaptable to the changes without it becoming grainy or a poor quality. You can start here if you would like to, and edit it from this point. Um, but I think for the most part, the best place to do it is in Lightroom, and I will help you download Lightroom and use the account and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So what I have done now is I have taken this folder, the good baseball photo that's right there, and I have uploaded it to um, Lightroom. This is Adobe Lightroom. It is a paid one, but that's good. Okay. As you can see, so I've already done some editing, some photos for some kids who wanted an edited photo. And as you can see, maybe, there we go. So this is one that like I turned up a lot of like the shadows and the texture and stuff like that. So that way it can look a little bit more artistic, quote unquote artistic. You don't really want to do this a whole lot for the yearbook photos just because you just want normal photos there for them. Okay. So one of the things I'm going to show you is this one. Okay. So over here is kind of all your editing stuff, and the one that you'll probably be, or the two that you'll be on, are the top two here. So this one's a color one, and if you just go auto, it already kind of does some of the work for you, and that looks a whole lot better. Let me go back. Pretty dark, a lot of shadow there, and then I autoed it and it did that. So I'm on some of the exposure and the contrast and the highlights. Shadows, I can either take it down and make it really shadowy, or I can make it light and I can, take away some of those shadows. So I think taking away some of those shadows has done quite a bit of good for this one. It's not the best quality. Once you do that, the more you edit it, the grainier it gets. If you can kind of see that, like right there. Um, but if you're going to put this in as like a smaller photo, that's okay. And if it's the only one you have, it's the only one you have. And then you can kind of play around with the rest of it if you want to make it a little bit brighter or make it a little bit darker. Down here is kind of the colors. Um, Most of these colors look pretty good right now, but let's say I want to make this, you can change the reds and go that route. You can change the blue, white kind of in the blue one down here. So if I turn up the saturation, that makes the whites kind of stick out just a little bit more. Again, you don't want to do a whole lot of this for the yearbook photos, but if you're going for a certain style in the yearbook, maybe like a superhero kind of theme, these might be some good photos, shop skills to use. But it looks good, and from out you can kind of see that. Down here is where that texture and that clarity and stuff are at. So that really adds in some texture, and that kind of makes it a little hazy. So you kind of want to just, and you can play around with it when you get it. And I mean, that's really what I've done. I've just kind of played around with it and made it, look a certain way. And um, so basically the next step is to go through all your photos and do this. And I usually just start with the auto. Oh, and cropping. That was the other one. Let me go back to it. So this one, I'm not as worried about the cropping, stuff like that, but I'm more worried about it being straight. And so if you auto it for the straighten part, it becomes a little bit straighter. Now, you have this dude back here. Maybe you don't want him, so you crop him up. And then as you can see here, and I don't know if you can see it necessarily, if it kind of zoom in. I can't really zoom in, but if you can see here, there's like a tic-tac-toe thing. And what you want to do is you want to kind of put the subject of your picture in one of those corner spots. Okay? So I'm kind of doing that here. I kind of want the focus to be on, Aaron for sure. Because, and that one's like right in the middle. And here's kind of where the point's at. So he's kind of in that point there. Now, when you get to the yearbook page, you might go, oh, I don't have a spot for this big of a photo. So in Pictavo, you might crop it to just that. And even that still looks pretty good because he's still in that area. So I'm going to crop it like that. And I'm going to leave that one alone. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through each one of these. And sometimes you can copy and paste settings. For this one, I don't think I would, just because they were at different ball games at different times and different camera settings. If you have the same camera setting throughout the whole thing, you could do that, but I didn't do that. So I'm just going to start working on this. Again, I don't need everything over on this side. Cutting off bodies over here, if you want to just focus on Adam, this is Adam, right? Yep. Then you could do that, and I kind of have the ball in that spot right there. If you want to incorporate the catcher, it's hard to do the catcher and not the umpire. And if you notice here, cropping wise, it's you don't want to necessarily crop off legs or limbs of any sort. Um, if it's someone like the umpire or the other team, it doesn't matter as much as it does um, for our own players and our own people that we would like to crop for. Okay, so there's that one. Let's auto this. Okay, looks a little bit better. Um, and yeah, so there's Adam. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna go through each of these, and we'll go from there. Hmm. This is one that I really liked because I like the fact that this kid is like right there, almost on the base, um, but it looks to be a little lopsided. And going that route, it's not so bad. But now it won't let me get him in the photo, so I might undo that. And again, you don't want to, crop people, but that was as good as the photo was. And so this one might be a little bit better to use because the guy's in the whole thing. It just wasn't as good of a, stretching out photo like that one was. And notice this is the same game, and notice how wildly different the colors are. And that's just your shutter speed. It's the sun. I think this one was a little bit cloudier, and then the sun popped out, and it kind of gave you those colors. And if you don't change while you're taking photos, that's what's going to hurt you. And so I'm going to straighten this one out now too. Looks like I got the guy in there, which is good. And this kind of adds to the photo as well, because now I can say that he, he got the ball playing runner out, and you could always use that person's name if you wanted to. I don't usually do that. I usually just do it like this, okay? All right, here's another Adam one. Straighten it out. I think this is actually the better of the two Adam ones because I think he's hitting the ball. Now, that's kind of one of the things that I look for in a photo is good action and good photo stuff. So this one I can zoom in. So this was really good shutter speed. And notice how like I can see the back connecting with the ball. And that's kind of what you want. You want those kind of good shots. And so and hitting that is tough. I'm a quantity over quality guy. If you notice, it took 3,800 photos, and I'm only using 34. I'm a quantity over quality person. So let's auto this one a little bit darker. Looks good. All right, this is another one that I like because, first of all, it's an action shot. Um, I like the fact that he is jumping in the air here. And so not a lot behind him, not a lot of other action in this photo, so I would probably crop this one down quite a bit. Go. Do a little bit of the auto there. Notice how it kind of changed the colors in the background. Calling it good. All right, this one I'm zooming in a little bit. And so sliding photos, especially at home plate, are always good ones. Sometimes you want to try to get the umpire going safe or out or whatever, or the referee doing something. That always helps out with it. In wrestling, I usually try to get the referee's hand to hit the mat when they're doing it, and so I can kind of make this a little bit more cropped. It looked like it was straightened. I think I already did. Yep. And notice how kind of wild I was there. I usually don't. Yeah, I'm not usually that bad. All right, so here's another one. And again, I like this photo because a couple things. One, the expression on his face. You always want to get those expression shots, whether it be happy, scared, whatever it might be. I mean, that just looks really good. The ball's mid-air. It's not too blurry. You can see it just fine. And so all those things help out. And so I think, you know, and again, so if you auto it, and see, auto there did not do as well with job as I would like it to. I think it's a little too bright right now. Let's see if I can. I'm doing a white balance, which is the temperature of it. It was a little too warm, a little too yellow, if you noticed before. Let's go back to the original. Reset edits. There we go. Okay. So notice how it was kind of a little too yellowy. That's your temperature here. So if I can turn that down a little bit, then I can work with the photo just a little bit more. And so there you go. Want to get that ball in there. You want to get Josh in there. Kind of putting the glove right in the middle, one of those tic-tac-toe things. That's kind of where you want your, you want to focus on. And then I can kind of go highlights and see if I can make that background just a little bit darker still. That's what I'm trying to do. Shadows. And then there's whites and there's blacks colors in it. And that one looks decent. Now, let's say you wanted to make this color back here a little bit greener. So what you do is you click on it and then you can change it. And you can actually change the saturation. And then you can change the luminance. But for the most part, I keep those things the same. All right, so that one looks okay now. Not the best, not the worst. All right, this is another one. I think this is Aaron. Yep, that's Aaron. That's Aaron. So again, I'm going to crop this one. I'm going to straighten it out. And again, I don't care about Gabe back there. I care about Aaron and the ball. And so make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And again, you don't want to crop too much because then it gets a little iffy there. Notice how it made it darker there. That's an okay one of Aaron. This is Javen. Again, I see the ball. I see his face. Those are both positives for this photo. Okay, there you go. Let's do the auto. Looks good. All right, I got Devin pitching here. And this is one where you don't maybe want to edit or crop out as much as you think. I think this photo is straight as it is. So that's good. This one you want to kind of keep out just a little bit, just so that way. And man, it made that green really good. There you go. Here's Henry. Let's auto this one. I'm pretty sure I have photos of Henry sliding as well somewhere. I think they're on my phone. And so I might need to find those ones and get him in there sliding. And this one, so does it tell me? Let's see here. Open in detail. I just want to see something real quick about this one. Is it this one? No. Well, here, I'm going to go back to photos actually. Because I should be able to find it here. Because this is my favorites. And you can make this bigger up here as well. If I can find him. Okay, he's at Janesville. Oh, this is going to be riveting stuff for the... That's Clarksville. Is this on it? This is it. Okay. So I just want to see info, see if it tells you. Okay, it does. Okay. So right here, it tells you exactly what your camera settings were. So this is the ISO, that's artificial light, 250, that's not bad. This is the f-stop, how big the hole in the lens is, that's 5, that's pretty big, which means more light's coming in, so that's good. And then this one is shutter speed, and that's what I was actually looking for, 1/400. So I noticed that the ball here is really, really blurry, and it's because of that shutter speed is pretty low. And so that's always why you want to do higher shutter speeds. This one, 640, so it's a little bit clearer. I was gonna say, I don't know if I have any that are like so good, but the ball there, I bet you this one's a little bit more, 1250. So as you notice that the shutter speed, the more shutter speed I had, the better the photo was. But also I had to up the ISO here so that way it could make up for it, because the more shutter speed you have, the less light that's coming in. So you got to add in more fake light. And more fake light means it's going to be a little bit grainier. 400 is still not a whole lot. Most photos are way over 400. This is just outside, so you had to do that. I had it as a cloudy day. Yeah. Okay. That's what I want to show you. All right, so I'm going to keep going through. I'm going to keep editing photos, and then when we come back, I will talk about actually putting them in Pictable.